Since 2008, the world has seen massive shifts in technology. Yet, despite billions spent on infrastructure, human risk remains the constant variable.
Since 2008, Verizon has put out a data breach investigations report, and every single year, the top line statistic says 60 to 80% of data breaches are caused by people.
Think back to 2008 when that report came out. We were living through a rapid technology evolution, and we have been since then. Unfortunately, between now and then, and even today, a lot of the focus remains on infrastructure and systems and not people. The other factor when we consider why human error is so prominent is because people themselves are complex. Behavior is complex. It's actually very, very hard to secure behavior when we can't imagine every single permutation of what goes right and goes wrong.
We live in a high trust society. When you walk into like a doctor's office or like a tax preparer's office, you don't go in there assuming that when you share your data with that kind of business, there's going to be misuse, there's going to be someone malicious behind it. And I think that translates to the internet as well. So people are using the internet on a day-to-day basis. They find new tools, such as AI and powered tools, and they think, oh, this thing can actually help me understand my medical record or help me do my job and create a really nice slide for a presentation. But they're not always aware of the risk. They're not professionals, and they see these things, and they just aren't aware of how to use these tools safely.
If you put yourself in the shoes of a security leader, they're oftentimes not given enough budget to build a real technology stack that can defend their organization properly. So they put compensating controls in. A lot of our customers call this the paper stack. How do people get that information, though, I think is maybe even a bigger problem. So a study came out earlier this year that said the average person spends about 1 minute a year on cybersecurity training. And we all know that the reason for that is because we're clicking through as quickly as possible because I need to go back to my job.
The other difficulty with policies and policy enforcement is just like businesses and technology, policies are constantly changing. So security teams have a challenge where they have to keep up with all of these tools, and then they have to figure out how to communicate that, right? They can't be sending a policy update every day and say, read this, well, we've changed this. So there's a huge challenge right now from a policy enforcement gap and a policy definition gap.
One of the things we typically see when we've worked with security teams and even working with our customers is you have programs that do try to balance that human element. The common factor that they have is they're trying to guide behavior and determine what is the right behavior in the moment. But what all of those technologies lack, and why we continue to see human risk be a persistent challenge, is some sort of real-time intervention that's guiding in the moment. And until we have something that helps people in the moment that they need to make a decision in a risky situation, we're going to continue to get that 60 to 80% statistic.
Cybersecurity shouldn't be about saying no to how people work. It should be about creating an environment where the safest path is also the most productive one.
Really, the issue with cutting off all employees' access to AI is you're already quarters behind your competitors. You're also just years behind what the workforce looks like. And the rate of change of technology that's aiding people in their day-to-day jobs, I think, still is undervalued. So I think the major danger of blocking is really that organizations really risk falling behind.
What happens when you do what we call a hard block is that employees have personal devices. They can open up their computer, they can open up their phone. And so, unfortunately, what hard blocking does is it sends those behaviors underground. It creates shadow behaviors and shadow usage. And when you go to personal devices, as a security team, you have no agents, sensors, nothing on personal devices to be able to monitor and see how people are misusing company information in those systems. So we actually prefer contextual approach or soft blocking, where the system is highly intelligent to what you're trying to do, understanding your real use cases and what business value it has, and only intervening in what we call a break glass moment directly with the user and saying, hey, this kind of data actually isn't appropriate for you to share. And that's how we believe we also make security second nature, is by constant reinforcement loops and giving them the safer outcome to take.
Staying safe shouldn't require a degree in computer science or a life lived in constant suspicion. We are entering an era where the burden of security is shifting away from the individual and toward a system that actually understands the way we think, reducing the cognitive load of security to zero. This is the philosophy driving Maro, a company reimagining cybersecurity by building cognitive security agents that act as a digital guardian for the human mind, providing real-time behavior guidance and the agency to course correct in the moment.
The original concept for Maro came about when my co-founders and I were thinking about how it feels to be the average person on the web these days, that at any moment, just around the corner, somebody's looking to defraud you or trick you. And we were thinking about Dante's Inferno and how Dante is navigating the 8th and 9th concentric circles of hell, which are fraud and treachery, respectively. He would not have made it even past the first circle without his guide, who was Publius Virgilius Maro. And so we took that inspiration from Virgil and we wanted to bring that to a level where people could feel like they could trust in this very tactile guide, this educator or companion.
At Maro, we believe one of the core tenets of making cognitive security a reality and also being able to protect people is to treating security like a user experience problem to be solved and designing around them and their needs first and foremost. Not just the security team, not just the company that they work for. One of the hallmarks of what we do is human-centered principles and helping people interact with technology in a safe and productive way.
We came across Maro as we were looking for tools to help us understand, one, where our staff are using AI, two, whether or not they're using tools efficiently and effectively. What we've seen is a reduction in our event traffic and a significant reduction in the number of incidents that we're having relative to internal staff and HR possible interactions. And so we're seeing great success and great reduction in our time spent administratively managing this.
Maro is a cognitive security agent that is there to protect you from cybersecurity threats and also make sure that you're able to follow your company's rules when you're at your most stressed, when you're at your most vulnerable, and when your workload is at the highest. To be able to free people from the feeling like they're at fault when a cybersecurity incident hits their organization is the highest calling. If you're looking for a radical approach to human risk, you should seek Maro.
The digital world may be full of risks, but you don't have to navigate it alone. Build a culture of secure innovation and turn security policy into safer everyday behavior at seekmaro.com.